Kia ora koutou, hello everybody, and welcome to this video about the new moon in Leo that's coming up in the next few days. Whenever we have a new moon, it represents a new start and it sets the tone for the following lunar month, which happens over the next 30 days or so as the moon waxes and gets bigger in the sky, leading up to full moon, and then wanes and comes down again. So the new moon sets the tone for that month, but also you will only have one new moon, usually, nearly always, only one new moon every year in the sign of whatever it is. And in this case, we've got the sign of Leo where we've got the new moon. And so in that way, it sets the tone for a part of your life for the following year. And this new moon has some interesting aspects. Always with the new moon, we've got the sun and moon exactly together in the sign of, in this case, Leo. And this new moon, I'm just going to check, is at 2 degrees and 8 minutes of Leo. So especially if you are in the early degrees of Leo or any of the fixed signs, Scorpio, Aquarius and Taurus, this moon will especially be affecting you, but it affects everyone. Okay, but the new moon happens also to be opposite Pluto, and that could bring in some power issues or matters to do with power and motivation and willpower that might need to be resolved, or there's just a tone of that. It's also accompanying Mercury retrograde, and so while it's a new start, it might be a new start in some things that need to go backwards a bit. And then the new moon is also, with that opposition to Leo, it's setting off, it's completing an amazing pattern between the new moon, Pluto, and some of the other outer planets, actually all of the outer planets that we use, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. It's forming a cradle or a trapeze and triggering this amazing pattern that these outer planets are making that are affecting us over a couple of years, where we've got this incredible flow between the air signs, Gemini and Aquarius, all about communication, info technology. Oh no, the church bell finished. And then the fiery, entrepreneurial, initiating energy of Aries. So new starts, new technology, incredible innovation, just new ideas abounding. We're really in that pattern, and the new moon is contributing to that with some fiery Leo energy. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar. I live in New Zealand, Aotearoa normally, and I make calendars using lunar months and lots of information, astrology calendars for New Zealand and Australia. Currently though, I'm doing this crazy thing. I should be at home working my butt off saving for retirement, but I am not at the moment. My partner and I have taken 6 months off to explore Europe in a van, and currently we're in France and having a wonderful time, not being sensible, instead exploring and climbing on mountains and learning about culture. And every day I learn a few French words, and that's amazing. I knew no French before, despite my lovely French friends that I have. Anyway, currently we are in southeastern France. I'm going to have a go at saying the name, and apologies if you are French because I will butcher it, and I know it's a beautiful language, but I do want to share where I am. It's in Le Bourg d'Oisans. It's east of Grenoble, and yeah, the mountains are amazing. The mountains we were in earlier were made of marble, so I was really familiar with that, with being from the top of the south of New Zealand. But around here I think it's slate, and the layers of the mountain are actually waver. I think they've been through such amazing tectonic processes. Anyway, on with the video. Let me first talk about the dates and the numbers to do with this new moon. So the sun and the moon are going to come exactly together at 2 degrees and 8 minutes of the sign of Leo. So as I said, if you are the early degrees of Leo, this is really going to be happening for you. It is opposite the sign, it is opposite, it's in Leo, so it's opposite Aquarius, and Pluto is in Aquarius. It hasn't been in Aquarius for very long, just like over a year back and forth, as it moved from the sign of Capricorn, but it's in Aquarius for the next 20 years. And Pluto is currently at 2 degrees and 36 minutes. So that's an almost exact opposition, very, very close. Also triggered by this new moon, we have got the conjunction, or the very near conjunction, between Saturn and Neptune. And Neptune is at 2 degrees and 4 minutes of Aries, and Saturn almost at its closest point to Neptune that it will come this year at 1 degree and 49 minutes. Those two will come into conjunction early in 2026. That's going to be a really big deal. Every astrologer is going to be talking about it. And then also in aspect to those guys is Uranus at 0 degrees and 41 minutes of Gemini. Very, very newly moved into Gemini earlier this month. All right, and the dates of this new moon. In New Zealand, it's going to be, oh, I need to look at my calendar. I've actually got it in my calendar, of course. The new moon on the 25th of July at 5:30 a.m. on the Friday morning, Friday the 25th of July. Yep, okay. That means it'll be 2 hours earlier Australian Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be on Thursday evening for me here in France, and or anyone in the UK. I doubt anyone's listening, but just in case anyone is, if you're in any of those countries. All right, so with the new moon, we have a new start. It's the sign of Leo. And Leo is a fire sign. Leo has wonderful, fiery confidence, energy, enthusiasm, leadership ability, the willingness to step out, take risks, do new things. And Leo has this natural charisma and kind of like a glamour even that attracts people to it. So if you've got anybody in your life with strong Leo, it's likely that people might want to flock to them a little bit, and whether they want to be flocked to or not, there is a charisma, and they can be like the flower at the center of all the honeybees flying around. Yeah, that's a lovely Leo thing. Leo is also about joyful play. It's a happy sign. Joyfully doing whatever you love to do with all your heart. So that it might be where you do something that you just love to get lost in it. You can spend all day doing it and you don't even know that the time has passed. And Leo does have a playfulness. Leo loves to play, and the initiatives that Leo might take might be playful ones. A couple of people that I have known in my life with Leo energy, they might be like somebody around town that's always got people buzzing around them. They like to go out. There's a little bit of glamour about them, and people around town know their name, and they'll talk to people, and the party kind of gets going when they show up. It's quite cool. But also they'll be initiating and creating parties wherever it is that they go. I also have a friend who's got a lot of Leo energy, and she's she actually likes to have quiet downtime, but then when she is with people, or she's got a lot of energy for them and people want to be around her. It's really neat to see. So there's this glamour and charisma. The downside of Leo can be that the Leo energy can get prideful, a little bit too prideful, and maybe a bit bossy at times, and a bit bossy. We all have Leo somewhere in our chart. So if you're listening to me talking about this thinking, oh, I want that Leo energy, that's so cool, why can't I have some Leo in me? Well, you do. Everybody has got Leo somewhere in their chart, and at the end of the video, in the all signs breakdown, you can hear where Leo is in your chart. Now let's talk about that opposition with Pluto. Pluto is, it's a tiny, tiny little planet, but in astrology it is used. Oh, I'm so glad we have it in astrology. It was only discovered, of course, in the 1930s, and it has been relegated to being not a planet in astronomy, but we still call it a planet. And Pluto is about power, and it's about deep power, willpower, the underlying layers of power and the underlying layers of motivation, like driving forces that are underneath. I think something to do with our reptilian brain. We might not even realize where Pluto is playing out at times, and we can go around talking about love and sweetness and butterflies, but underneath there are people need to have power, and people will be exercising power in ways that are either spoken or unspoken, and very often it's Plutonian type energy that is behind it. It's what is underneath, about survival, about your deep soul, your deep psychological layers, deep underneath. What is there? What is raw and untamed and really fundamental? Okay, so Pluto is about that. It's also about death and rebirth, like transformation that is very deep and profound and painful, like you're being turned inside out. I know I've said that before, but that's how I've felt when I've had some Pluto transits in my life, like just like, oh, such raw pain. But then, after you kind of recover, you come out the other side and you are wiser, you are rebirthed, fresher, and ready to go forth in a much more wise way, in a wiser way. Okay, so Pluto's about that. On a practical, mundane level, Pluto, in normal life, Pluto can be about great expressions of power, great expressions of wealth. It can be about being very, very wealthy or very, very famous or something, and then it can go the other way. It can be like suddenly going from very wealthy to in debt. And anybody who has Pluto strongly placed in their chart, like Pluto on the ascendant or something, they might go through some extremes in their life. They might have a kind of extreme personality, and there can be also even a magnetism, like a sexuality and magnetic power about them. Like, don't get lost in their eyes without keeping your head. Okay, but yeah, a magnetism, and we've got that Leo energy with the new moon that's got that charisma and glamour, and then we've got the Pluto energy that has got a deep magnetism. With the Pluto being opposite the full moon, it could be that we're wanting to, I'll just pause while this truck goes past. So with Pluto opposite that new moon, it could be that we're wanting to make a start in something in our lives, perhaps whatever Leo represents in your chart, but there's some power issues on the other side, opposite, perhaps getting in the way, perhaps pulling, perhaps it's something within yourself where you want to do something, but underneath there's some deep motivations that actually are pulling you in another way, and you haven't maybe quite expressed them yet. The opposition is a big tension. So Pluto and its motivations and willpower and psychological depths is pulling one way, and the new moon, the sun and moon together, representing that new start that comes with the new moon, are pulling the other way. So with the new moon, there might be some power tussles going on. As well as that, we are in the thick of Mercury retrograde. We're at least 1 week in, maybe a bit more, can't quite remember. And we're coming up to the halfway point where Mercury meets the sun, but it's not yet. So things are coming up about how we need to fix up practical, mundane, ordinary details of life, and you expect by now you are noticing that you're having delays with doing things, that you're there's messages that are getting mixed up and going wrong. For me, what I've noticed is that my partner and I have been wanting to do some via ferrata, and we've got all this information about where to go, and we're told park at this car park and then just follow the signs. And almost every morning we start out early thinking, right, we're going to beat the heat and we'll get out there early, and we get started quite early, but by the time we've found somewhere to park and by the time we've actually figured it out, I think yesterday's one we were about 3 hours late because the information was so vague. We thought it was clear, but it wasn't clear. Anyway, we got there in the end and it wasn't too hot, so it was all good. But it was real Mercury retrograde stuff. We're trying to work out those details, the details not being what they appeared at first. And that's the nature of Mercury retrograde. There's some learning there, but sometimes it's just a matter of applying patience. We've got that energy with the new moon. Okay, so it might be that there is a new start, but it might be better while Mercury is retrograde, and I'll just check the dates of that, until the 11th of August, maybe not to launch any big new thing out in the world. Research and review are the things to be doing during Mercury retrograde. Okay, and as well as that, the new moon is setting off that amazing mini grand trine where we've got Pluto in Aquarius, giving strength and also transformative power to the things to do with Aquarius, which is social movements, revolutionary ideas, innovative technology. That's Aquarius. Also things to do with the masses, all the people. That's over the next 20 years. But it's also setting off Saturn and Neptune together in the first degrees of Aries, which is about the new initiative, the child setting out on the world, the first step on a new journey, initiative, energy, and leadership. And that is Saturn and Neptune together there. And then very newly we've got Uranus in the sign of Gemini, and Gemini is about connections, networks, neighborhoods, trade and exchange, community, very similar to Aquarius. How we connect with each other, how we think, our logical minds, and boy, with that Aquarius and Gemini energy, so much new technology is going to be powering up. And with the new moon in Leo, also in those early degrees of Leo, it's really setting off that pattern of flow and new energy. Okay, but anyway, for the all signs breakdown, I'm going to start with Leo, because Leo, you have got the new moon in your sign. And with the all signs, I'm going to talk about where Leo is in your chart, but also the opposition to Pluto and where that is in your chart and how that might affect you with this new moon. So I'm pausing between signs so I can figure out each one. So pausing for the moment, then starting with Leo. If you are Leo, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Leo rising, this new moon is happening in your first house. Now this is especially if you are in the early degrees of Leo, because it's happening at 2 degrees, and just checking my notes, it's happening at 2 degrees and 7 minutes of Leo. So really in the early degrees of Leo, especially for you, but anyone in Leo, because I use whole sign astrology. Okay, and it's happening on the 25th of July in the morning in New Zealand and Australia. And it's the sun and moon coming together, and it's a brand new start in your house, your first house, Leo. This is who you are in the world. It's the part that you play in the world, like your character. It's your identity in the world. It's how you present yourself to the world, like whether that is in how you talk and act. So think about how you act, how you talk, your facial expression even. It's also about how people see you, and it's about your appearance. And it could be that you are ready to do something new for yourself, and for your appearance and for any part of life, because the first house drives and sets up your whole chart. So some new start for you, except that because we've got Mercury retrograde, you might want to think about it until the 11th of August. Maybe do the background research, because Mercury retrograde, it's not so good to make any big new dramatic change. And as your Leo, you might enjoy being a little bit dramatic at times, even in your looks, because that is your first house. Across the chart from you, from this new moon, we've got Pluto, and it's triggering that new moon. And that means that there could be some power issues or psychological matters that come from down deep coming up, especially with your partner or something to do with partnership. Now, by partner, I mean somebody who you might work with a lot, a friend that you spend a lot of time with, a client or any clients that you work with on a one-to-one basis. It could be that you even, this isn't setting off your career or your job parts, but because it's everything about you, there might be something, even with a client where it's your work, where you suddenly realize some ways that you're giving away your power as you talk to your clients, and you just change the wording of how you're speaking with your clients. This is just an example. It could be that something is going on. Oh yeah, of course, it's also your marriage partner or somebody that you live with and spend a lot of time, and you're working together and working things out, planning life together, or anybody that you spend time with on a one-to-one basis. So it could be that power matters are coming up for them. There's something that they're reviewing in their own life to do with their feeling of powers, or it could be about your partnership. Is there a good balance of power in your partnership? Or is your partner or partners going through a transformation, because Pluto is about that transformation and death and rebirth. Okay, so that's what I've got for you, Leo. Let me think, is there anything else? If there is a big transformation, if there is a big change, it can be painful at the time, but then you can come out on the other side after you've licked your wounds and recovered a bit, feeling refreshed, newly wise and with deeper understanding of yourself and your partner. So all the best with the new moon in Leo for you, Leo. If you are Virgo, sun, moon or rising, I'm just going to pause just while that truck went past. Virgo, sun, moon or rising, this new moon is happening in your 12th house. You've also got Mercury retrograde in your 12th house. It's the new moon in Leo, and Leo is your 12th house. Okay, so Virgo, the 12th house is a house where you are retreated. You've gone into retreat from the world. It's like your sanctuary. It's where you escape from the world through your dreams, or through just your the musings that your mind makes as you're going along, or the parts of your life that people don't really know about. It could be like maybe you've got a whole big hobby that nobody even knows about. Maybe you write a dream journal, maybe you play music, you're off away in another space. Other people don't really access that world too much, unless you've got a lot of planets in the 12th house, in which case it might be a big world for you. But anyway, the new moon in the sign of Leo with Mercury retrograde, the new moon is a new start, and it might be a new start in something that you do to escape, whether that is, it can be escapism through comfort eating, or addictions, any kind of addiction, working too hard, whatever it is, how you escape from reality. So a new start in that, and you might find a new thing to do that helps you escape in a healthy way. Whatever it is, it's probably good not to spend a lot of money on whatever form of escapism it is, whether it's like, booking a weekend away from everyone, maybe by yourself or just with somebody very close, where it's retreat. It could be something like that. But whatever it is, maybe don't invest too much money, time, effort or energy into it, because we do have Mercury retrograde, and you might want to just research and prepare for now before a big commitment while Mercury is retrograde. And that is until the 11th of August. At the same time, opposite this new moon in your 12th house, you've got Pluto in your 6th house, and Pluto is going to be there for 20 years, but there is a trigger with this new moon. So something in your 6th house, it could be that a health matter comes up that is, that makes you feel maybe a little bit like there's a problem with how powerful you feel. The 6th house is about your healthy routines, your routines for health, also your daily life, your routines in your daily life, and that includes your daily work, where you go at work. So maybe a power issue, a power matter between colleagues at work comes up, or it's just something to do with, it could be somebody keeps advising you about supplements to take, and you suddenly realize, actually, they're getting a bit bossy. I don't need all that advice. They're being a bit pushy, and you just decide to step back from that, or you just notice it with the new moon, perhaps. So watch out for things like that. The sixth house is also about how you give service, and so if you are giving service some way in the world, whether that's through your daily work or volunteer work or helping people, just notice if any power plays come up with that. You yourself won't want to be using the service that you give as a way of getting power over people. So sometimes the amount of give and take is important to consider in life. Okay, but mostly it's about a new moon in the sign of Leo in your 12th house. So some new start for the ways that you relax, retreat, dream, idealize. Also give charity is also another part of the 12th house, but especially the ways that you retreat and escape from the world. So thinking about that. Thank you, Virgo. All the best for the new moon. If you are Libra, sun, moon or rising, but especially Libra rising, the new moon is happening in your 11th house. And the 11th house is Leo for you, an enthusiastic and charismatic house for you. And you're really pretty good with being sociable and charming, Libra. And then you've got Leo in that house of being sociable, because the 11th house is about your groups of friends that you choose. So the people in your life you choose to be with, especially if they are more like the groups you choose to be with, not like close partners. But not so much your neighbors and your family, more like the people you choose to be with, perhaps because you have a hobby or an interest or a cause in common, or just a wide group of friends, a network. Okay, it's also about your long-term goals. And so it could be cool to be thinking about your long-term goals with a new moon in the sign of your long-term goals. I recommend that while Mercury is still retrograde until the 11th of August, that you're thinking and researching and preparing for any long-term goals, rather than doing any big commitments towards anything like booking some big grand holiday or signing up for a university course next year. Better, I feel, to, at the moment, until after the 11th of August, to be researching and planning rather than making the big commitment. You've also got Pluto opposite the full moon, almost exactly opposite, in your 5th house. So you've got Aquarius as your 5th house. And the 5th house is about your children, as one of the things. So possibly there could be a power play playing out with your children, and you might want to think about, are you keeping the power as a parent, but then also not squashing their power too much, but then not giving away too much power and making a little prince or a little princess out of your kids. And also the 5th house is about romance. So definitely in the field of romance, we know that power play and power games can be playing out. So just take care with anybody that you're seeing, more like a boyfriend, girlfriend status, not so much a committed relationship. Just check out how power plays out between you. Try not to take too much, try not to give away power and unless unless you realize you're overdoing it and taking power away from them. You think about how can it be even and fair between you, and respectful and honest, of course. And take note of underlying messages that you're getting, not just the surface stuff, because Pluto is about the deep layers. The fifth house is also about our fun and our hobbies and entrepreneurial projects. So maybe some power issue or matter comes out of any of those. Just take note. It'll float away a bit after the new moon, but there could be some learning with it for you, Libra. Okay, so all the best for that new moon in the sign of Leo in your 11th house. So possibly a new start to research and prepare for in long-term plans, rewards from work, and also friendship groups. If you are Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Scorpio Rising, the new moon in the sign of Leo is happening in your 10th house. So the 10th house is about your career and also about the legacy that you leave behind, your status and reputation in the world. If you're not working at the moment, it will be about how you're known in the world for the work that you do in the world, like your life's work in a way. Not saying you have to keep your life's work the same. You can change it many times, as many as you want. I've certainly done that. We all do that these days. Okay, so the 10th house is a great place to have a new start. It's a great chance when you've got the new moon to be thinking about what you want to do with your career over the next year or so. Now, if you are wanting to change something and actually do something new, I recommend that you wait till after the 11th of August, after Mercury goes forwards, because it's retrograde at the moment, before you initiate and carry out anything that's public or actually going out in the world. At this stage, while Mercury's retrograde, it's probably better to research and prepare rather than committing to anything that you can't undo later. So yeah, while Mercury's retrograde until the 11th, maybe hold off there. At the same time, you've got Pluto for the next 20 years in your 4th house, so that's just going to be going on. But while the new moon is happening, it's directly opposite Pluto, and so some power matters could come up in your 4th house, and that is the house of home and your family of origin, or properties that you own, the house you live in, the people that you live with. The home is where the heart is and it's a private place. So maybe there's a power matter, a power issue going on at home, something that might need to be reviewed, a psychological layer that's coming up and pulling opposite that new moon. So there could be a difficulty there, something that needs to be explored, possibly transformative if you can play it right and get through it, and just see the learning that can come from anything that's awkward and uncomfortable. It might be little, it might be big. You've got Pluto there for the next 20 years, so you're going to be so transformed with your home over the next 20 years. But right now there's a bit of something coming up possibly with this new moon in the sign of Leo. But mostly it is about your career. You can be thinking about your career. What do you want to do and develop with your career over the next year? So there we go, Scorpio. If you are Sagittarius, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Sagittarius Rising, this new moon in the sign of Leo is happening in your 9th house. So it represents a new start in Leo, something to do with your 9th house, which is all about travel overseas, adventure, expanding your mind to new ideas, philosophies, belief systems, how you see that the world is structured in terms of your beliefs. So if you're religious or spiritual, what are your kind of rules for that? It's a new start there. It could be that you meet a guru or somebody who helps you out with it, gives you some advice, or it could be that you've got new ideas about somewhere that you want to travel, something expansive and adventurous. Okay, however, before you commit to anything new, before you buy a ticket for 2027 or something that's going to cost you a lot, wait until Mercury goes forward, because currently Mercury is retrograde in that sign of Leo, in that 9th house. It goes forward on the 11th of August. So right now we've got that new start. It's a good chance to be researching and reviewing and preparing rather than actually committing to any big new project, especially as the 9th house has a tendency to think big and go big. And you, Sagittarius, yourselves, you've got that tendency too. You've got you like to have big ideas, and you're enthusiastic, and you like to go on big adventures. So maybe just hold off before you commit to anything till after Mercury retrograde. At the same time as the new moon in the sign of Leo, your 9th house, across the chart on the opposite side in your 3rd house, you've got Pluto opposite that new moon. And Pluto could bring up a power matter or a power issue going on in something to do with your 3rd house. The 3rd house is about your neighborhood, your neighbors, the community that you live in, where you're driving around or walking around here and there in your own community, going to the shops, going to work, your commute, and also about your siblings. It can be about your brothers and sisters, or aunties, uncles, cousins, nephews. So something in the realm of your relationships, your relations, not your parents, not your children, but the other relations in your family, or like I said, your neighbors, your community. Also, the 3rd house can be about small business and trade and exchange, where you're doing that. So a power matter could come out there that could reveal some deep psychology that makes things more difficult with this new moon in the sign of Leo. So be aware of that, and just, if it comes up, deal with it as best you can. These things pass and we grow from them, especially with Pluto. We really grow. Not always easily, but it always for the better. So mostly though, this new moon is about your 9th house. So thinking about some new adventure or new expansion of your mind. There we go, Sagittarius. If you are Capricorn, sun, moon or rising, the new moon in the sign of Leo is happening in your 8th house. And that 8th house is, well, it goes with Pluto. Pluto's opposite, but the 8th house is like Pluto in that it's about transformation and your deep psychology. It's also about investments or your partner's money. So there could be some new start for you in terms of your partner's money or investments that you've got, anything in your life where it's other people's money that has to do with you. So some new start there. However, if you have an idea for a new start, I recommend that you wait and just do your research and preparation while Mercury is retrograde. Until Mercury goes forward on the 11th of August, it's better just to hold off and do your planning and prep first. Okay. At the same time as you've got this new start in your 8th house, you've got Pluto in the opposite sign. So Pluto is in your 2nd house, and you've just finished 20 years of Pluto in your own sign, Capricorn. I'm surely you're relieved that's finished, because that can be pretty difficult. Hope you guys can hear me, because it's just the wind is coming up. It's starting to rain, so I hope I can finish this video. I'm just going to pause a moment. So now Pluto is in your 2nd house, and is opposite this new moon. And your 2nd house is about your wealth, your earnings, and the things that you value in life, even how you value yourself. So that could be there could be something interesting and deep that comes out that's pulling away from that new moon. I've got to pause again. There was a street cleaner over there that's doing a really thorough job, so I needed to move. I hope you can still hear me, because it's still going, just I'm further away now. I can't remember where I got up to, Capricorn, but Yeah, so you've got Pluto in your second house, something to do with your sense of self-worth, all your money, your wealth, your earnings, and there could be a power matter that plays out there. But mostly this is about the new moon in your eighth house, the house of transformation, house also of investments and your partner's money, but also, I didn't say this before, the house of occult mysteries. So if you enjoy tarot, astrology, and mysterious practices, magical arts like that, there could be a new start for you there, but I recommend that you are researching and preparing rather than committing to anything really big and new, launching anything into the world just yet until Mercury goes forward on the 11th of August. So all the best for you. If you are Aquarius, Sun, Moon or Rising, especially Aquarius Rising, I hope you can hear all right. There's a street cleaner quite nearby, but it's quite hard to find quiet places to record, but I do like doing it outside. It's fun actually, and it's lighter. Anyway, so Aquarius, this new moon is in your 7th house. Leo is your 7th house, and that is the house of your partner or your partnerships, anyone that you're working with closely in a one-to-one basis. So it could be your committed marriage partner or a marriage-like partner, or it can be a client that you work with one-to-one or clients, a business partner, or even a friend that you're spending a lot of time with. Even if you're flatting and it's just you and one other flatmate, any kind of one-to-one relationship like that. And it's a new start for that person or a new start for that partnership and the way that you relate together. And especially if you're the early degrees of Aquarius. Actually, I've got a friend who's very early degrees of Aquarius, so this will apply to her, and she'll know who she is. You also have got Pluto right on you. If you are early degrees of Aquarius, Pluto is right going through you very slowly and crumbling some old parts of you and bringing these a lot of deep psychological transformation deep within you and your identity in the world, Aquarius. If you are early degrees, that's happening right now and has been for the last year or so while Pluto's been coming into your sign, as it is fully in now. And if you're later degrees, middle or later degrees of Aquarius, then that's going to be happening over the next 20 years. Transformative, man. Okay. But right now, with that new moon in the sign of Leo, you've got you being Pluto, opposite that. So there could be something coming from you that is affecting the way that you see your partnership or affecting things for your partner, and it's to do with power issues, power matters. Who has the power? So be respectful, be kind to your partner, be fair with your partner. Aquarius is a fair-minded sign anyway. And take note of what's going on. You know, sometimes these things just feel like they come out of nowhere, and you think, oh, you've just got some kind of idea, and you think, oh, it's nothing, and then you realize, oh, this transit's been going on, and actually it is a thing, and it will pass, and there might be learning out of it. Okay, but mostly, yeah, it is a new start for your partner. If there's anything big and new to do or to initiate, to launch, I recommend that you wait until after Mercury goes forward on the 11th of August. So there we go, Aquarius. If you are Pisces, Sun, Moon or Rising, then this new start, the new moon in the sign of Leo, is happening in our 6th house. That is the house of how we give service in the world, especially practical service, like, in the physical, material way. It's also about our daily routines. So in terms of daily routines, it's often about our health routines, our nutrition, what we're eating, Also about just how we, what time we get up in the morning, the little jobs that you do before work and going to work. It's also, as it's about service, it's about the work that we do on a daily basis, our daily work. So there's some new start there in the sign of Leo, in that sixth house of how we give service, how we work, and our daily routines for health and just daily life. Okay. However, it's all held up a little bit because we've got Mercury retrograde at this time. And so if there's any big new starts that you want to make for your daily life, I recommend waiting until after Mercury goes forward. And between now and then, you can start, but I recommend that you're doing more research and review and preparation rather than anything that's big and committed, because you might change your mind after Mercury goes forward. On the other side of the chart, we have got Pluto over the next 20 years going through our 12th house. Okay, so this new moon is triggering off Pluto in the early degrees of Aquarius. So our 12th house is about how we escape from the world, our dreams, our ideals, even how we retreat. It's also it can be about also how we give to charity. It can be about escapism. It can be even addictions. All right, how we escape from normal life, parts of our life that are kind of hidden and the rest of the world doesn't really know about them. Kind of secretive in a way. All right, there's something from our dream world, our escape world, maybe our world of addictions, if that's a thing for you, that is playing out opposite to the new moon in the sign of Leo. So there's some kind of power struggle coming from the 12th house. A classic power struggle is about addiction, and it could be you want to be healthier. 6th house is about physical health, but there's some deep underlying layer that's stopping that, and perhaps that needs to be looked at and reviewed and purged even, because Pluto is about purging. All right, so if it is an addictive thing or some kind of escape, like it could be just like, I was talking with somebody the other day about a tendency that some people have, and I think I've had it at times in my life, where you can kind of appear or act a little bit more dumb or naive than you actually are, just to keep the peace sometimes or make things flow along. That's a bit of escapism. Maybe it's just something as simple as that. All right, but if there is any escapism that's not being helpful to your life, it's a good time to look at it. And yeah, but mostly this is about a new start in the 6th house, how you give service in the world, how you live life on a day-to-day basis, your health and nutrition and healthy habits. So all the best, Pisces. If you are Aries, sun, moon or rising, well, this is a fun new moon for you, because Leo is your 5th house. That is the house of fun and play, romance, doing things that you love to do, hobbies, and your children. So there could be some new start for you in a hobby or something to do with your children. However, before you commit to this big new thing, which could be a little bit grand, because Leo likes to be grand, I recommend that you wait till after the 11th of August, after Mercury goes forward, because currently Mercury is retrograde, and it's a better time for review and research and planning rather than busting out with anything really big and new that you can't go back on, because you might change your mind after Mercury goes forward. That's a common thing to do, to change your mind after Mercury goes forward. All right. At the same time, opposite in your 11th house is Pluto, and Pluto is going through your 11th house for the next 20 years, but right now it's being triggered by that new moon and our opposite. So something in your 11th house, which is about your long-term goals, the rewards that you get from work, and about the groups of friends or groups of networks that you belong to by choice. So not like your neighborhood networks or your family networks, the ones that you've actually chosen to belong to because there's something that you have in common or a common belief or something. All right, so something in perhaps from your friendship groups, or something perhaps from rewards that you get from work, or something to do with your long-term goals might be getting in the way of what's going on with your new moon in your 5th house of fun and play and children and romance. All right, so, and this could be a power matter that comes out. So when a power matter, or if a power issue does come up, just note, this is a Pluto transit. That means it's supposed to be difficult for the time being, and sometimes when you have a Pluto transit, you can just act like a total, like a way you would never act normally, like misbehave and be more angry than you realized that you were, or be more manipulative than you realized that you ever were. And if that comes out, then just remind yourself to get on a good track, but take note of what your underlying motivations are, because it is good to know about them. And Pluto is about that, our underlying power and motivations, and they're real, they're good to know. And then we need to, of course, find ways to work with them positively. Okay, but mostly this is about a new start in your house of fun and play and romance and children. So it's something new for your children perhaps, but I recommend waiting until after the 11th of August when Mercury goes forward before taking really irreversible action on it. So all the best, Aries. If you are Taurus, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Taurus Rising, this new moon in the sign of Leo is happening in your 4th house. And the 4th house is your home, family, your family of origin, your roots, your private life in the home, who you live with, or your properties, if you own any properties, or the house that you live in. All right, so you've got a new start there, something new. New energy, new ideas, perhaps something new that you want to do. I recommend that you wait until after the 11th of August, because at the moment Mercury is retrograde in that house, and after the 11th of August, until then, it's better to be doing research and planning. And then after that, you might actually change your mind and do it a little bit differently, because Mercury retrograde can make us change our minds, make us think in a different way. And yes, so just research. It's up to you. If you're feeling something really strongly, just go for it. In the meantime, you've got Pluto in your 10th house of career and reputation. And you've got Pluto there for the next 20 years. So you're really going to be changing things up in your career over the next 20 years. Mind you, with this day and age, most of us would be doing that anyway, but it will be transformative having Pluto there for the 20 years. But right now, it's been triggered a bit in those early degrees of Aquarius, your 10th house, by that new moon in the sign of Leo. And it could mean that there's something in your career or where you've got reputation or status in the world that comes up that's a power matter. Okay, and it might make you question things about what's going on in your home. You've got like your career area pulling away from your home area because they're opposites. So if that comes up, take note of it and try and work through the learning and the deep learning, because Pluto is all about the hidden depths, and try to behave well. But if you behave slightly badly, don't feel too bad, because Pluto can bring out the brat in us at times and make us behave angrily or manipulatively. Okay, but mostly this is about some kind of new start in your house of home and family, especially your family of origin or who you live with at home, something to do with houses, property and your private life at home. Just wait until after Mercury goes forward before you make any big changes though. But all the best for you, Taurus. Okay, if you are Gemini, sun, moon, or rising, the rain has just started to fall. I don't know how I'm going to finish this video. I'm standing under a tree at the moment. I'll get your one done, Gemini, I'm sure. Okay, I'm talking fast. The new moon in the sign of Leo is happening. I better move my back. Okay. It's happening in your third house. And the third house is about your neighborhoods. It's about, your neighbors, your community that you live in. Short distance travel, like when you're going around about your neighborhoods, your community, going to work, going to the shops, whatever. It's also about trade and exchange. So if you've got a small business, it's like small entrepreneurial projects. If you've got a small business, it could be some kind of new start there. Anyway, the new moon represents a new start. Also, the third house is about your siblings, your brothers and sisters, or any relations that are not your mum and dad, not your ancestors so much, but like aunties, uncles, cousins, not your children so much. All right, so some kind of new start there. And it might be that you want to make a new start because of this new moon in any of those areas. I recommend that before you make that new start, that you wait until after Mercury goes forward on the 11th of August, okay? So this time, between now and the 11th of August, is a good time to do research and planning and review and preparation, okay? At the same time, you've got Pluto in the opposite sign, and it's pulling apart from the new moon, causing some tension. And Pluto's in the sign of Aquarius, and Aquarius is your 9th house. Okay. And your 9th house, yeah, that's a fun house. It's about adventure and travel and new ideas. Oh gosh, I've got to get my phone out of the rain. It's going under even more under the tree. And new ideas, big belief systems, and how you understand the world is run, really, like what you believe of how the world is set up in terms of the principles that you believe in. All right, so there might be something come up that's transformative with Pluto doing that. It could be that you're questioning your belief systems, and they might need to transform a bit. This isn't a huge transit. It will be huge over the next 20 years because Pluto's going to be working to change your belief systems over the next 20 years. But right now, there's a little bit of something comes up that feels a bit like a power issue or a power play. If you have befriended any gurus, take care not to just believe anything they say, like really use your logical judgments, especially because the new moon is your third house, and that's the sign of logic. Okay. All right. And Gemini, you are a very logical sign. So use your wisdom and don't get carried away with anything that actually might not be true, or just some kind of power play. Could be even if you're dealing with people from a different country or something like that. Anyway, so mostly this is about a new start in your third house, which is about your small business, your neighborhoods, going around and about your neighborhood. Sometimes it's also about learning hand skills, or it can be about your siblings or your relations. So all the best, Gemini. If you are Cancer, sun, moon, or rising, I am under a tree because it's just started raining. There's all these cars going past. I hope you can hear me, Cancer. Okay. I think you're the last one I've got to do. I really hope I didn't miss anybody out. Okay, because I got a little confused with the rain coming out. Anyway, if you are Cancer, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Cancer rising, the new moon in the sign of Leo is happening in your 2nd house. So that's a new start, new moon, new start in the sign of your money, your wealth, your earnings, the things that you value in life, including how you value yourself. All right, so there's a new start there. If you are doing something new, like new way of organizing your money, or you're deciding to spend on something big, some new big possession, because that can be 2nd house, I recommend that you wait till after Mercury goes forward. Currently, Mercury is retrograde. There's a street cleaner nearby. It's very loud, so I'm just going to go a bit closer. Sorry, my face is going to be very big. I hope you can hear me. I recommend that you wait before you commit to anything big in your second house until Mercury goes forward on the 11th of August. Right now is a good time for preparation and review and research, okay? Mercury retrograde is great for that, but it can make our mind be a little bit different, and you might change your mind on things over the next few weeks until it goes forward again, all right? And at the same time as we've got Mercury retrograde, as the new moon in the sign of Leo, exactly opposite is Pluto. And Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius. It will be there for 20 years. It's a sign of transformation. Actually, oh gosh, it's getting so windy. I hope you can hear me. I'm trying to shelter the microphone. It's a sign of transformation, the 8th house, the house of transformation, death and rebirth. And you've got Pluto, the planet of death, rebirth and transformation. Deep psychological layers going through your 8th house for the next 20 years. So you're going to get used to that. You're going to get used to feeling pretty, going deep into your psychological layers. It's going to become kind of normal for you over the next 20 years. Oh dear, street cleaner is still loud. Okay, but there could be some kind of power matter that comes up with this new moon, with Pluto opposite. So the Pluto and the new moon are pulling away from each other. So if it does come up, the 8th house is about your deep psychological layers, and Pluto of course is about that. And it could be that some of your underlying layers, some of your underlying motivations, and where you actually feel protective of something for your survival, and it might not even make sense, but it comes up and it could come out, could come up to the surface, and normally you're like the wild creature within you in a way, like this wind is getting wild. Okay, so if it comes up, try take note, and it might mean that you don't behave well. Like it might be that you say things that actually reflect a side of you that's not pretty, and it's not very sociable. It's and yeah, so if that does come up, just try and learn from it, take note of it. It's a Pluto transit, and that always can bring out uncomfortable things, but it's good to be aware of that deeper side of ourselves. But mostly this is about a brand new start with the new moon in your second house, something new about how you value yourself, and you could value yourself better once you understand your deep psychological layers. A new position, a new way of organizing your money. Take time to research it and explore it before you commit to anything while Mercury is retrograde until the 11th of August. There we go, Cancer. All the best for you guys. So there we go, everyone. That is the end of my video. It's all getting stormy around here. I did want to show you some images of the mountains. Oh gosh, I just had to do that again. The street sweeper completely followed me around. Now it's really, really raining. I wanted to show you some visions of the mountains because they're so cool here. So just turn around a little bit. Can you see that behind me? Big mountain. It's now raining with a mountain weather, but really it's mostly hot and beautiful. Okay, so I just want to say, while it's a new moon, have a couple of days of rest if you can, and if you can't, try not to start anything new for a couple of days, but also try not to start new things unless you're feeling really drawn to it, or it's just all organized anyway until Mercury goes forward on the 11th. But happy new moon, everyone. Bye for now.